Greetings, friends. I recently had the great joy of performing a wedding between the son of a friend of mine and his precious fiancee. She just completed nursing school, and he's getting his master's in nonprofit work, and their goal is to go overseas and be missionaries, serving the Lord by taking the good news of Jesus Christ crucified and risen out to the nations. And as I was preparing for the wedding, I was thinking back to Genesis, in that first book of the Bible, where it tells us a narrative of God's creation, not only of the universe, which is kind of spelled out in chapter 1, but more detail that comes to us in chapter 2 about the creation of humankind. And when it says that God, at the end of Genesis 1:27, he created Adam, male and female, in his own image, it tells us that God wanted to capture his image in Adam, which included maleness and femaleness. And then if you look at chapter 2, in verse 18, it said that God saw Adam and felt that he should not be alone, and wanted to create a counterpart for him, somebody that was comparable to him, someone that could come alongside of him and procreate. And so it tells us in verse 21 of Genesis chapter 2 that God caused Adam to fall into a deep sleep. And then out of his side, he took a rib. And with that rib, he created Isha, which was the word for woman. And in the Old Testament, you have the word for man, husband, which is Ish. And then you have the counterpart, woman, which was called Isha. And it says in that text that when God took the female counterpart out of Adam, he said out of Ish, he called her Isha. And what a beautiful relationship. And then in the very next verse, it says when a man leaves his family and marries his wife, the two go and become one flesh. And what this gives us is a very beautiful image, that the oneness of God with the maleness and femaleness now is given to the Ish, male, and Isha, female. And when they come together, they procreate. They procreate. And then if you look at Genesis chapter 5, the first two verses, it said God blessed them as they went out to procreate the world. Now, we understand how procreation works. It takes a male Ish and a female Isha to come together to produce the egg on the part of the Isha, the woman, and the sperm on the part of the Ish, the male. And apart from this process, there's absolutely no way to procreate. It takes a male and a female coming together in this process. And we understand that. In fact, if you look at nature, that's the way nature survives in procreation. Maleness and femaleness coming together and producing their offspring. And it doesn't take an atheist to believe this. We all understand the process of procreation, that it takes a male and a female. So I want you to not be confused by this. Don't think that God is going to allow procreation in this planet to go further in any other way. It's got to happen between an Ish, a male, and an Isha, a female, coming together to procreate, to become one flesh. Because look, in that one flesh, new life is created in the image of God. And again, whether it's male or female, it doesn't matter. As they go forward, they too shall procreate and procreate. And so life goes on in that process. I hope this is helpful for you. It helped to me going back and refreshing myself. I'd studied this years ago, but God brought it to my remembrance. And I went back and looked at those first few chapters of Genesis and realized that, look, God hasn't changed. Millenniums later, we're still the same. I'm an Ish, I'm married an Isha. And we procreated. We've got 3 wonderful children. We've got now almost 5 wonderful. We got a 5th one on the way, grandchildren. But it's the process of the Ish and the Isha coming together. And look, no matter what kind of narrative you're hearing out there in the public sphere today, just reject it. It's a lie from hell itself. Satan trying to undermine the perfect process of procreation that God put in place at the very beginning, and still comes down to us today. Amen? Listen, if you want to reach out right now, hit that comment button on Facebook, send me a message, I'll get back to you, or go to my webpage, paulteskyministries.com. Hit that prayer button and you can send me a prayer request or a comment. I'll answer that too. And I'm doing this for you. And again, all these teachings are going into my continuing building library on YouTube. YouTube at Paul Teskey Ministries. I've got this growing stack of information cataloged and libraried for your benefit to go and look at testimonies and teachings and seminars and other things that I'm doing. And again, I'm doing this for you. I just want to share my heart, my thoughts, and hopefully they're blessing you in one way or another, okay? So go in peace and serve the Lord. And all God's people said, amen.